So, a while ago on this pod, I don't need the specs anymore. A while ago on this pod, a conversation, a brief one, happened about being polyamorous. And I wish Dre was here because I feel like this would be an educational moment for him. But who knows? Maybe he'll pop in. Uh, Dre said on a pod, and it made me think, man, we might have to have a deeper conversation about this. Dre said on a pod, if you didn't watch it, that he thinks being polyamorous is a weird new term that came from women wanting to be with multiple men. And I remember his joke was, and we all laughed because it was a joke, but it also had a little bit of truth to it that, you know, he said, I remember I was doing stuff like that. They just called me a player. And now it's an internet and widespread term about being polyamorous. And that shit is bullshit. And it was funny, his delivery and the way he said it. But it made me realize, oh, maybe other people don't really know what it means either then. And because it's not just having multiple dicks in your life. And so I thought, well, I know a little bit about being polyamorous, and one of our co-hosts is polyamorous. And so let's have a conversation about what does it mean to be polyamorous. And so I passed the one mic over to our polyamorous respondent, Nestor.
I think I'm polyamorous too. I'm
single.
God damn it, I'm single.
So, yeah, I mean, I think I want to start the conversation with something Days likes, and that's defining terms, right?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Naz. Thank you, Naz.
so the first part is relationships, right? There's different types of relationships in general: familial, platonic. You have acquaintances, you have romantic relationships, and sexual relationships. I think romantic and sexual will probably be the focus of this whole conversation. But the reason that I went down that list is because with those types of relationships, you experience different types of love as well. So, like with family and with your friends, you can experience different types of love there, but there isn't like, hey, I can only love this one person, right? Like when you're a parent, I have my son, I have two daughters, but you know what? I only love this one child right here. I don't love them all. And that's kind of what polyamory is. It's a belief that you can love romantically more than one person. At its core, that's what that is. So from there, polyamory is usually used as a catch-all term for anything that falls under ethical non-monogamy or consensual
ethical non-monogamy. Go ahead.
Pretty much the
What
same
the hell
thing,
does any of that mean? Tell the public.
Right. So basically, it's pretty much an umbrella term to that falls for anything with multiple partners. So that can be friends with benefits if you're messing with multiple people, dating or talking phase, like before you get exclusive. Then that's like, you're probably dating a bunch of different people. You're talking to a bunch of different people, trying to figure out who you want to spend the time with, the rest of your life with, or whatever, right? And that's all stuff like within the monogamy stuff. But the reason it's ethical non-monogamy is because all parties involved are aware that you're not just talking to them or you're not just dealing with them, and that's an important part of that. Other things could be like open relationships, swingers, or anything like that. Now, where polyamory is separate from all that, it can very easily, fall into open relationships and things like that, and people will like compare it to that. Usually, open relationships are more like you guys have a relationship together, but you can do whatever you want. Polyamory is there are rules, there are guidelines, you have boundaries that you set, like, hey, I'm cool with this, not cool with that, whatever it is. So polyamory as a whole is more of a lifestyle decision for your family, for you and your partner, whatever set guidelines you want. The most common would be triads, quads, and Vs. So basically, triad, three people, a throuple, three people, they're all in a relationship together. Then you have quads, four people together, two couples, couple together in a relationship. And then V is like one person dating two different people. Um, and then all of those are what's defined as a polycule. So the polycule is just everybody that's in the relationship, no matter the structure that that relationship takes. Um, and then another important term, metamor. So basically, if you look at the V, there's the one person who has the two relationships. They're not in a relationship, so they're metamors of each other. Um,
Let me ask you a
Basically,
question.
that's just like the basic structures of all that.
The
Honestly,
metaphors
it's a
know each
really
other. They're
simple thing. It
friends.
doesn't go. Yeah, what's up?
Okay.
Sometimes they don't interact at all.
All right.
Yeah, sometimes they'll be friends. Sometimes they won't interact at all. Yeah. It's all dependent
Okay.
on what everybody in the relationship feels comfortable with. Um, yeah, I mean, it's no different from a monogamous relationship, um, except that there's more people in the soup. Like that's pretty much it.
There's
Like you're gonna have the
there's
same issues, you're gonna have the same things. Mhm.
there's do people rotate? Like do people like go out? Different people come in. Like, they might be with some people for a certain amount of time. There might be some type of, separation or breakup, and then you could, find someone else that will be on board with the same situation, et cetera, et cetera. Does things like that take place as well?
Yeah, yeah, it's really dependent on the people within the relationship, right? So you'll have where um I'm dating one person and then I want to include somebody else in the relationship or I want to date somebody else, then as long as my partner is aware of what I'm doing and what's happening, it's whatever. Sometimes one partner will stay home and then the other will go out and go on a date with their other partner. It really is it's multiple monogamous relationships mashed together in like this, like the same way you would put together any geometrical shape. It's the same thing. It's still going to be the 2 points between the lines and then they'll just be structured however. um and again, like I was saying, you'll experience a lot of the same things. So there is, it's not like there's an absence of jealousy. Jealousy can be there, but it's how you manage that and how you bring it to your partner, because it's really things that you can't just be like, oh well, you know what, this is it, I don't want to do this anymore, forget it, right? Like, sure, if you want to set a boundary where it's like you're not comfortable with that happening, it is something you discuss with your partner, and it really is something you have to come into a decision together. It's something you're going to keep moving forward with, or do you guys part ways? All different things fall into place when it comes to those conversations.
Thank you, Des.
Yeah.
All right. So, first of all, thank you. That was a great breakdown. Second of all, I went to an event a couple months ago called Exotica. And Exotica is known as the porn convention. At this convention, there were several workshops. They were free. You just go sit in a room like if you're at Comic Con and you go to a panel. And one of the panels I sat down in was a polyamorous workshop. And the man, who is an author and does a bunch of different stuff, has been polyamorous for longer than I've been alive. He's been polyamorous for like 40 years. He's a guy in his like late 50s or early 60s, something like that. I don't remember its exact age. But the point is, he's been polyamorous for years and years. And to add a little bit of fun to that, he's also part of the BDSM community. And so he said that he's a Dom who has subs, and he spoke a lot about his situation and broke down almost identically everything Nestor just said the same way. And so, Nestor, that was great. And he broke down the term V and most of those other terms, and he broke down his situation. He said he has a wife. he was already polyamorous when he met her. And so he put that on hold for a while and they got married. And when they got married, he told her, hey, this is the life I'm into. I'm part of the BDSM community. I do a lot of wild shit. And they had a long conversation. And she said, I don't give a fuck about any of that. As long as you're honest with me and at night you come home to me. And he said it stood that way for the better of 20 years. And where he had multiple people he was in different types of relationships with. At one point, it was another girlfriend. At another point, it was a fuck buddy. And he told his wife the things that were going on, and she was good with that. But at about 20 years in, she said, I know for a long time I've let you do basically whatever the fuck you want. But I have a change of heart. I would like for you not to do this one thing. I would like this one thing in the sexual realm to only be with me. And he said, okay, I love you and I respect that. And that's what I'll do. And he broke down his situation where his situation has changed even of recent. So he has his wife, and I forgot the term, but that's his primary partner. Do you know the term for it, Ness?
It's called primary.
Primary. There's probably another one.
Just the primary, right? Because he said a specific term. There you go.
Anchor is another term.
Thank you. It was anchor. So his wife, he said, is his anchor. And then he had two other women, right? And so he said one young lady he doesn't have any sexual relationship with in the way that most people think. So he is her dom. And so they do BDSM stuff, but he never penetrates her or anything like that. And she does not live with them. And then he has a girlfriend. And his girlfriend has lived with them. He said for a few years, the girlfriend did live with them. And everybody knew, wife. All right. He said everyone involved knows each other, and they know wifey is number one. And he said the two call him daddy because that's their dom thing, but they call his wife mommy, and they understand. No, this is not their mom, but this is someone who's above me, and to be respected and be honored, and understand that it's a privilege to be able to be with this person's husband. And so the two young ladies did, and now the girlfriend who lived with them has a boyfriend, and so the boyfriend had to come and speak to everyone, and he was new to the lifestyle, and so long conversations had to be had. And now the girlfriend moved out, and she lives with the boyfriend, but she still is part of their situation. And that's when he broke down the term V, because his wife doesn't have any interest in intermingling with anyone else. And so he is the V point, and then he's got these other branches, so to speak. He said his is more like maybe a W or something because he's got more than two parties, but yeah. So, yes, he said basically polyamorous is whatever you all agree to, but it is multiple relationships. Sometimes the people know each other, sometimes the people don't know each other, but usually you are not a person who is single. Usually you are a person in multiple committed relationships. And he said, but that's changing because now he sees that people are using the term poly-single. And then he said, like, that's some young shit. He just made fun of it. And so he said it's people who he doesn't really think they understand what the term poly means and things like that. But I thought that, and he's right, because I've seen that. There's a specific app that I'm on.
Yeah, they freestyling.
Huh?
They freestyling, but it's cool.
That's what he said. He basically said they just making shit up at this point. But yeah, and so I also thought this was an interesting conversation to bring to the podcast because I am someone who I guess practices ethical non-monogamy, right? And so when I am single, I date multiple people who know of each other. I do not have my people meet each other, but I am honest and open with people, and I tell them, hey, I am, we've gone on some dates and we're digging each other. And before this moves any forward, I think there's something you need to know. And honestly, I try to say it as soon as possible because why go on several dates if we're not going to go anywhere, right? Like, we don't need to waste each other's time and money. And so I usually tell people from the jump, once I know there's interest for sure, I tell them, listen, until I'm in the point where I'm in a committed relationship, I don't do exclusive dating because to me, that's a commitment. And so I am seeing however many people I'm seeing at that time, I tell them whether it's one or two or five, whatever. It's usually not five, but anyway, um, I let them know, I'm dating two other people, for example, and you would be the third person. You would never meet these people, and all the other stuff that I do, which is not anybody's business. But I have been accused many times of being polyamorous. Even Nestor used to joke for a long time that I am
Yeah.
polyamorous, but I'm scared of commitment. That was his running joke for a long time. It was, oh, Jay's polyamorous. He's just scared of commitment. And so I thought it was interesting to bring to the pod because I think a lot of people hear the term polyamorous and make their own assumptions and they don't really understand what it is. And so I know someone, I even went on a couple dates on a while ago. We went on a couple dates. They said, "Oh, you have a harem of women. You think you're Andrew Tate." And I was like, "Okay, no, none of that is correct. I don't have a harem. No one lives with me except my daughter. I'm not in any relationships, and I don't even want to discuss that guy." And so I said, "Man, we really got to talk about this on the pod because clearly people have some misconceptions." And that's really it. I think people don't understand, and maybe Nestor can speak to this, but people have often asked me, why aren't you polyamorous then? Clearly you like to be with multiple women and you're clearly this is something you do. And my answer is a couple things. One, I think people who are polyamorous are very brave and very patient. I'm not the most patient person. And me and Nestor have discussed this before. Yes, I date multiple people. So yeah, I'm dealing with multiple personalities at a number of times. And that's a challenge. For me, I think anyone who's polyamorous, it's a heightened challenge because I can't
Yeah,
speak for anyone else. But to me, when I'm dating someone versus when I'm in a relationship with someone, it's not the same level of commitment. You don't get the same J.
correct.
Do I speak to you regularly? Of course. Do I see you when I can? Of course. But we're probably not going to speak every day. I'm definitely not going to live with you. And there's a lot of things that have to do with like
Can I ask a
intimacy
question?
and vulnerability that you're not going to
Can
get
I
if
ask
we're
a
not in a
question?
relationship. Again,
I
this
just want
is
to
me
make sure I get
personally.
clear.
Yeah, what's up, Dex?
What do you want me to do? You want me to
You
yell over
sound
him?
like a
I'm
tired
gonna ask a
student
question,
class.
right? Um, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do here? Um,
No, no, it's
Patience.
good.
You
I
saying
you did it the right way.
polyamorous
Go ahead,
people are more
Dex.
patient because why? Because they will. Why are you saying they're more patient than what you're doing?
Well, I think that it takes a lot to be able to be committed to multiple
Okay,
people and to
okay,
cater to multiple
okay. I just
people
want to make
at the
sure I
level
got
of
it
a
because you're
relationship.
saying you're
When you're in
dating
a
a lot of people,
relationship,
but
a
it's
lot
not
is
really
required.
relationships. It's just casual dating, then, right? That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against relationships, but I think it takes a lot to get there. And if I'm committed to you, I'm committed to you. That's fine. But for me personally, to be able to give that level of commitment, vulnerability, the way I want to please you mentally, emotionally,
And,
physically, to do all of
and I
that
gotta
with
ask you this.
multiple people, that's a lot of work.
I'm sorry, I gotta
And
ask you
that
this.
takes
In
patience.
a
And I
polyamorous relationship,
personally am not.
how do you
What happened?
feel as far
Yeah.
as
What's up?
being? You feel comfortable being vulnerable with both, uh, giving the same level of vulnerability with both members of your polyamorous relationship? Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you kind of have to be like if you're going to enter into a relationship with someone,
Is
it
the, is
it you
the,
have to be
is there?
comfortable
Uh,
being vulnerable with them.
sorry, is there a
Like that's
temptation
that's
to
definitely
want
something
to
big.
favor
So
one
it's
over
it
the other, or you have enough self control or decisiveness to give the same level to both people?
it could happen that you're going to favor one partner over
Okay.
another. Usually that's where like
Hmm.
the because there are hierarchical
The anchor
relationships
and the
sometimes where it's like, hey, that's what Jay was saying before about the anchor partner, or the primary. That's
mm,
usually the person that like, yeah, that's usually the person that's not going
mm.
to go anywhere. That's going to be Like that's your partner for life, no matter what. And then everyone else you introduce are going to be people that maybe you want to build a family with them as well. Maybe it is something that you want to build a family as a whole all together, whether the other two partners
Yes.
are together or not. Because it is also something that's possible, that where it's like, okay, I'm at the center, I have one partner here, one partner there, and we're all like raising a
I
family
agree.
together,
It's brave, JD.
even though
That's
those two
brave.
partners aren't
That's
in
really
a
brave.
relationship at all.
That's brave.
Yeah, and see, that's what I'm saying. To me, that takes a lot of fucking work. And, you know, not like, look at the example Nessa just gave, right? Let's say I want to have multiple children with these people, right? So let's say I have a wife, just example, right? I have my anchor partner and we have one child. This is just an example, right? And now here comes this new person, and we all decide, man, we want to have more kids. I want to have a child with this woman. I love her equally, or whatever. I love her, and we want to have a child. We're discussing childhood. If all of us are going to be together, right, in this 3-parent household, there's a lot of people who now need to be on the same page for these children. That takes a lot of work. And I know you don't have to be in the same household. I know you can have multiple household situations, but that's not what I would want. I would want all my people in one house. If I'm going to have a family in one, I would prefer for everyone to be in one household. So that's why I give that example. I know that's not required, but just in this example of what I would want, I would now have to get 2 different women on the same page, idealistically, about how we're raising these children all together. That's going to take a lot of patience and a lot of work daily. And so I think I take my hat off, my figurative hat, to everyone who's polyamorous, because there's a lot of work involved, whether there's children involved or not. And I think for me personally, that's kind of scary. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not capable. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not, I don't know. But to me, does that sound interesting and fun? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So I think that takes a lot out of everyone. And for me to be responsible, and then we're not even talking about finances. That's a whole nother ball game, right? And so again, just for me to be with these 2 different women and be in these situations with the level of commitment to both of them, the vulnerability and catering to them. You know, I'm a person who likes to cater to my partner. And so in a relationship, that's a lot. It's a high level of catering, you know? You got to know who likes what flowers and what day they off and what's special. And, you know, dating, you don't got to do a lot of that shit. That's up to you if you want to or not, but it's not a requirement, as Deion Sanders said. You know, it's not criteria in the polyamorous realm. That's criteria, baby. You got to know. You got to know, and you got to be on point in both situations. Or, and if I'm wrong, Nestor, correct me, but you could create a lot of problems in between because you remembered this person's birthday, but you forgot completely about this person's birthday. You remembered this anniversary, but you forgot that anniversary. Yo, why you always remember your anniversary with Nestor, but not with Tez? That's fucked up. Why you doing, you know, now Tez could feel away. You know what I'm saying? And I think I don't want no smoke, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not brave enough to be polyamorous. I think I'm not brave enough. I'm not patient enough. Am I capable? Maybe. I don't know. You know, who knows? If I met someone who's polyamorous, maybe somebody listening to this pod, they say, JD, come here, man. Let me help you out. Come be polyamorous.
Nestor, is there
maybe we can work it out. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
probably,
yes.
likely, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm telling you, yes.
Even,
all right.
yeah, there's even
I'm telling
like,
you, the answer is yes.
Because you can, yeah.
It's a fascinating
Yes.
lifestyle.
The
It really is a
the
fascinating
dating
lifestyle
apps
to
are
hear
a pod
about
within
this,
itself.
You know, a lot of work, a lot of emotional work going on here.
Yeah, and I think that
It is.
and I think that the common misconception is like, yo, it's lit. I got multiple bitches. It's lit. You know, I think that's I think that's how people. I'm being honest. I think that's how.
That's the ignorant pleasure part of it.
Right. Yeah, I think people see that. I think people hear someone say, hey, I'm polyamorous. And if you're outside of the lifestyle,
yeah,
it's just like, oh, that nigga's the man.
got
He's having
mad-
mad fun.
Like he
But
got
maybe
mad
not.
joint.
Right? And maybe not. Maybe he's mad stressed.
Well, I do know that some expressional part of it is being able to be, you know, responsible, because a lot of people forget that part. You know, when within hearing, you know, a lot of what you guys were expressing, I did hear a lot of responsibility, and I feel like even when I hear people express it, the only thing they think about is focusing on having multiple partners. It's not a
Yeah.
responsibility thing that they looking at. Not looking at, you have to be responsible for these individuals as well. You know, and it's not taking anything away from them, but it's saying that if this is something that you want to commit to, you have to be able to commit to it, you know, wholeheartedly. You have to be able to be responsible for what it is that you're committing to as well. You know, a lot of people just want to make, you know, silly commitments, but you have to remember the commitments that you make and they follow up with responsibilities. You get what I'm saying?
Right. Yep.
Um, so I think that part often gets overlooked, because I remember I was saying that to somebody the other day. You know, even and even sometimes when you look at certain talking points, it's usually a response to what somebody's saying. Like if somebody's saying, "Yo, well, dude got a bunch of Johns," and they go, "Well, I'm gonna have a bunch of dudes." You know, it's always like a response, and both of them are overlooking that both of these decisions and commitments come with responsibility. You know, can you manage being in multiple relationships? You know, like you said, exercising multiple different needs, and, you know, groceries and this and likeness of the house, and, you know, decorative things, and, you know, different personalities, and,
Yeah.
you know, all of that stuff
Mm.
comes into play, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So anybody have any questions for Ness before we move on?
Oh, and that's like the guru of this part okay here. Okay,
Well,
I ain't
he's the
know.
person with the experience. So
Okay. Okay. Very interesting. But like I said, man, you know, people always usually respond from that point of having the idea of just having multiple partners and how
of
fun that can be.
course, yeah, because people look at the way they can benefit when you're on the outside looking in.
Hmm.
It's easy to say, "Oh man, I see Days with a shirt off. He got a six pack. Yeah, I'm gonna get me a six pack too." Until you learn how many crunches you need to be doing every day, or how you got to change your eating habits, or how much weight you
well,
got to
well,
lose.
well, that draws the point of, you know, like I said to someone the other day. Usually, when people, I wonder, you know, I'm not saying everybody, but sometimes when people say things, it's like, can you even see it? Like a person would be like, "I want to be a millionaire." It's like, bro, can you even see it though?
Right.
Like, can you envision that, or are you just saying it frivolously?
Yeah,
But
because
can you
what
see
happens
it?
is when people are on the outside looking in of any situation, you can look at Dex and say, "Man, Dex hair looks great. I'm gonna get me some dreads."
Mhm.
Dex ain't get them dreads overnight. It was
Fact.
work, and
Mhm.
then once Dex got his dreads, what did he have to do to maintain them?
Mm.
Correct.
What does Dex
Correct.
have to do every morning when he wakes up? I don't know. I have no idea. And so, yeah, and I could say, man, Dex's hair looks great, man. It enhances the way Dex looks so much. He looks gorgeous. I want to look gorgeous too. I'm gonna get me some dreads. Okay. Until you start realizing the work you got to put in to get them, the work you got to put in to maintain them, and then now you like, nah, I really don't want no dreads. Fuck the dreads and everybody with dreads. You know what I'm saying?
No, but cats is still living polyamorous though. Niggas ain't saying F that. They just not being open about it.
um,
A lot of people out here probably in polyamorous relationships and they don't even know
I think
it.
people lie and fuck a lot of other people, but I don't think that makes them polyamorous, and that's part of what the whole point was to
I'm
to
being
bring this to the
facetious,
forefront. Oh,
obviously.
I thought he was being
Yeah,
serious. My bad.
I'm being facetious,
Yeah,
obviously.
I was over here. I'm over here trying
I
to keep
know.
it real. You know what I'm saying?
I
You
know.
over
You
here
started
playing.
getting
Stop playing, son.
scientific on me, like when you put
Stop
two and two
playing, son.
together,
You know what I'm
that
saying?
makes four.
Yeah.
He said that if you line that up from this point right here, that makes it blue.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I
Yo,
mean?
when Nestor said geometric shapes, I was like, yeah, it's all
Son, you
okay.
went from a V to a W, son. That was a win for
Son,
me. That
yeah,
was you
you know what I'm
went from a
saying?
V to a W, son.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
was like, these niggas out here having alphabetical geometric sex. What the fuck is going
Son,
on?
because that's what dude said. That's what dude said.
alphabetical
They having
geometric.
alphabetical geometric sex. That's what's going on out here. Niggas is like, yo. Symmetric. Yo, they out here. What my man said at the other? Perpendicular. Niggas is
You know
out
what I'm
here
saying?
perpendicular. We had to look it up in the shop the other day. Anything at a 90 degree, you might have that like a T. You got the 90 degrees right there with the V. You know? I don't know. It all sounds mathematical when you add people to it. That's it.
Of course, yeah, of course. All right, so we back. Go ahead, Ness. You said you had some more terms to break down.
Just a bit more to expand on it,
Yeah,
because definitely
please do.
people fall into this like crazy trap, right? So
Not a
what
trap.
I've had different people come to me with questions about it and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two different examples that you have to definitely watch out for or be aware of, right?
Uh-huh.
So a lot of people seem to think when it comes to this that it's like, oh, this will fix my relationship.
Uh,
You know, like, hey, my person is feeling on this person, and if I just add them to the relationship, things will
Mm,
work out, without
mm,
understanding or being fully aware of what they're doing or how they're approaching it.
right.
So I've heard stories about like, oh, these two people, they're together, and then one of them is feeling somebody else, and then the outside partner is like, well, you know what? Yeah, include them in the relationship just so we can stay together. But y'all can't do anything unless I'm involved.
Yeah, see, that's
Like
not
y'all
how that
can't do
goes.
anything on your own.
Yeah, that's not
And
how that
that's a
works.
crazy trap, and that's like that's not polyamory.
Nah,
Like that's just, trying to mix things up to whatever,
that's
but
just a
like
fun
also
Tuesday
putting
night.
major restrictions on your
wow.
partner, right? And you're putting all these restrictions on your partner, and that's not polyamory. It's not about restricting them. It's
Right.
about you guys having your freedom as
Swinging
individuals
is not really
while
polyamory, right?
still maintaining a relationship together.
Story time.
Swinging is ethical non-monogamy, but it's technically
Ethical
not polyamory,
non-monogamy. Wow.
Mm,
Wow.
or consensual
hmm
non-monogamy,
yeah.
because
Yeah.
consent is king, right?
That's
All
right.
right, so you're in your V with your
Mm,
metamors.
mm, mm.
You go to a party, everybody just chilling together, right? Nobody's hitting on nobody else, nobody's vibing, everybody's together.
He's like he's
That's
bars.
you know what I'm saying. Like it's not. It's like, what I'm trying to say is like, all right, you. There's no. I mean, could the metamors want to kick it with other people, or they really stick together? You know what I'm saying? This is situational stuff I'm asking here.
If they want to, it all depends on, right. It really all
All right, so
depends
what
on
has been discussed?
uh the
I'm learning this is really
parameters
based on
or
consensual
whatever
stuff here.
of
This
your
is all
relationship.
everybody
Yeah.
has is on the same
Yeah.
page type of thing. This
Same.
is no
Yeah.
random. Okay, fascinating.
Yes.
Hmm.
Man,
That
Because the
that's why
whole
you'll see a lot of crossover.
Hmm.
Go ahead,
mm,
Ness, and then
That's why
Days,
you'll see
and
a
then
lot
I'll
of
go.
crossover. Yeah, yeah, with the non-monogamous groups and BDSM, because
Hmm.
consent and discussion are very important to both sides. So you'll see a lot of overlap and things like that, because
So,
that's
oh,
generally
okay.
how things go. You're always going to talk about the things you enjoy, and not as a complete sight light to the monogamous people, but it's a real uh difficult
Hmm.
thing for the monogamous community to get used to, is
Hmm.
actual
Hmm.
communication. It's really rare for them to actually discuss their
Interesting.
relationships.
Talk that shit, Ness.
wow. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
Well, I know you wanted to say something or ask something, Days. Go ahead, and then I'll go.
Well, I'm still trying to process the terminologies, in
Okay.
the titles to be able to ask the questions, because the metamor, is that like the person that's like not dealing with anybody else, just committed to that particular situation?
Metamors are just two people who are dating the same person,
Mm,
and they're
okay.
not dating.
The two people are not dating; they're just dating the same person.
each other. They're dating the same person, but they're not dating each other.
That's interesting. So the person that person that those two are dating, what they're polyamorous, pretty much, right? The person
Yeah,
that the two
yeah.
metamors are dating.
Every everybody within the relationship could be considered polyamorous because even though they're not directly in a relationship with others, they're still
Hmm.
a part of the polycule.
Hmm. Interesting. Wow, it all boils down to consent, I guess. You know, you
So,
got to
so
be
for
honest.
example, so yeah, for example, you're dating me, you're dating Jay, right? And me and Jay, we're not dating each other, we're not dating anybody else, right? Me and Jay are metamors, um, and we're a part of the polycule, so we would still be considered polyamorous because we are in a polyamorous relationship, even if it's not with each other or with anybody else, and you're the only one actually dating multiple people.
Mm, okay,
And that would make you the bottom of a V.
gotcha.
The
Can I
vertex,
ask,
yeah, the vertex
The
of
what's
the
the
90
biggest
degree. I'll be at the 90 degree.
polyamory structure you've been part of?
Super.
I'll be at the 90 degree.
Okay.
Ooh.
me just
Hmm.
three. I
Everybody
don't think
was
I've
cool.
yeah, I
Well,
don't think I've
of
really
course,
been
you
in
gotta
anything
talk. See,
like
that's the
that.
main thing I'm learning here. Everybody's gotta be on the same page here. This is
Right. You got to talk. Everybody has to do the thing, and you'll run into situations where, um, like I've seen that too, where I've known people that were like, "Yup," they really want to be with the person, and they know everybody knows that the person is polyamorous, but they're not, right? So they're like, "Yeah, sure, we'll give it a try, we'll do it, blah blah blah," but they it's not gonna last because that person isn't really in a polyamorous relationship. They either a just
hmm.
really want to get with that person, so they'll just do whatever to be a part of that person's life, or b
And
they
take the
think that they're
person.
gonna come in and disrupt that relationship
Hmm.
and leave monogamous
That's
with the
wild.
person that. Yep.
Mm,
This is wild.
So it is wild. So what I wanted to say is I think something that we're not shedding enough light on is what we're kind of getting to now, which is why I haven't butted in. There are parameters that you set up before you bring others in normally, right? And so if and me and person A are together, and we say, hey, we're interested in doing this polyamorous thing. Well, then what are the rules, right? Because if you just do whatever the fuck you want, it causes chaos. And
correct.
so the idea is, idealistically, you sit down with your anchor partner in this example, and you say, hey, these are the things that we're both cool with. And that might take several discussions. It's not just some free for all where you all go do whatever the fuck you want. Even if you said, hey, I don't care what you do sexually, but you got to come home every night. If both parties agree, then hey, that's the parameters. That's pretty open. But the point is, before that starts, there's conversations where you both say and agree to whatever the fuck it is, right? And so that can be very different in every
Polycule?
person's polyamorous, what's it called? Polyq, right?
Polycule, yeah.
Polycule. So it can be different in every one. So let's just say the five of us are all in different polyamorous relationships. What me and my anchor partner have agreed to might be totally different than everybody else here, right? Maybe me and my person say I need to meet your other partner before you can be in that relationship. I
Mm,
have to approve them. If that's what we agree to, then that's what we agree to. But maybe Day's polycule doesn't have that part. Maybe Day's polycule is, hey, you could do whatever you want as long as they're tested, they don't live with us, and they don't give you head. Oh, okay, that's crazy, but that's what Day's polycule has agreed to. And so I think that's an important part that needs to be discussed, or at least just brought up, because
mm-hmm.
it is different in every situation. Like everyone's polycule is not the same as Nestor said, but it's also not under the same guidelines. And so I just want everybody to understand that, who's listening, watching, etc. Because, and again, Nestor can can chime in, but it's not the same. It's not that everyone is just like, hey, multiple relationships, go have a blast. It's not just that. There are parameters, which Nestor said, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
go a little
responsibility.
deeper on. It's right. It's about being responsible and consenting to the things that we have agreed to before we just go adding 2, 3, 12 people into our polycule. So I just wanted to shed some light on that.
Oh, that was great.
Thanks. Did I misspeak, Ness, or is there anything you want to add there?